All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. And today I'm joined by Warren and Easton Holder. And all of us are just returning from the 2024 ATA. So that was pretty fun. We got to see a lot of people we hadn't seen in a while. But today's topic is not coming from ATA. It is coming from subject. Did someone write into YouTube? Is that what I understood?
Yes.
Okay,
His name is The Darkest Hero.
The Darkest Hero is going to give us our topic for today. But before we get to the topic, Warren, you got some people we need to shout out to?
Yes. On Apple Podcasts, 27TCJ. This was on gut feeling. He said, I 100% agree with the gut feeling. I've been bow hunting hard for about 10 years, and you can feel it. I'm also a believer in certain dates. The past few years, I've killed on October 7th, the first cold front, usually in Wisconsin, and November 12th, the last push before Wisconsin rifle season. As he knows, we agree. New Age Conservative. Happy to say that you guys have been my main source of entertainment on my way to work each day. Always learn a lot, and I agree with a lot of your perspective on the topics. Love how when you listen, you feel as if you were at the table with you guys. 3 different viewpoints and always a great debate. Have a happy and safe new year. God bless you. Same to you, New Age Conservative, and thank you for joining the table here. And BBD92781. He says, Hunter's gut is real. Love the podcast. He's been following us for years on TV and even read the book. So, and he has a pretty extensive, you should go, if you get time, go and read it on the Apple podcast. It's pretty cool. Basically, his wife told him that there's no way that Hunter's gut is legit. And then he went out and killed the deer that he was after based off of his gut. So,
awesome.
But he also agrees you don't ever say it. You never say it.
Can't voice it. You just got to go with it.
And then finally, Trevor Bledsoe. I've been watching you guys for a few years now and listening to the podcast since it started. The thing I like the most is how down-to-earth and family-oriented you all are. I just watched the YouTube video of Warren's 23 buck, and I'm just curious when he switched to Matthews. So that's perfect. We should probably unpack that real quick.
Go for it.
Trevor, thank you for tuning in and being part of the Raised family. We really appreciate it. So, with that being said, if any of you guys saw, and then shout out to our YouTube people. We love you guys too. Make sure you go to the Raised Hunting Podcast now because that's where they all are. Anyways, so if you guys saw the hunt for BG, then you would see that I shot that deer with a Matthews, not a bear. And we've gotten a bunch of questions about that. So this is probably a great time to talk a little bit about that and what 2024 is going to hold for raised hunting. So obviously we're not working with bear anymore. Otherwise,
you wouldn't be shooting Matthews.
I wouldn't have shot him with a Matthews. Yep. And so then you're going to see too, I think your hunt's almost done as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Easton switched and shot a Matthews as well. However, we're not working with Matthews. Easton and I bought those with our own money, and I'm going to probably buy another bow this year. And I don't know if it's going to be a Matthews, a Bowtech, a Hoyt, PSE. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be whatever I feel like is a really good shooting bow that I really like. So as we move into, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. Into 2024, do you want to make the big announcement, or do you want to make it?
Well, which one's the big one? That was a big one.
The biggest one that
that everything's going to be streaming strictly on YouTube and so through our digital channels.
That there will be no more raised hunting TV show.
Correct.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to affect a whole heck of a lot of people.
Well, that's what gave us the start. I mean, that's what
I'm
started
just saying
raised hunting.
I don't think very many of you guys probably have cable TV anymore.
No, but I
disagree with you. I think there's a lot of people still watching TV. But I know that but anyhow, it doesn't matter. That's where we're headed. So,
well, here I'm sure that people have started listening to the podcast because they recognize the show. And I'm sure there's people that just found the podcast through Apple and Spotify and those other things, or TikTok or whatever. No matter how you got here, we appreciate you. However, the TV show was the pillar of raised hunting. That's what started everything for raised hunting, and we produced 10 seasons of raised hunting, the TV show. This would have been the 11th, right? So it's 10?
Yeah, 10.
It started 11, yeah.
So 10 years of TV, which and we got to meet thousands and thousands and thousands of awesome people and thousands of messages and everything else. But now, things have just changed, and it's going to more digital streaming. And so we really felt as though we could make a bigger impact and bring more value to you guys by going 100% digital. So we'll still have all the existing episodes available for you guys to be able to watch wherever you want to watch them. And there's still going to be some streaming with Outdoor America, which is like on Syndicate, which means like local television and things like that, but also I think they're on Samsung TV and a couple other big ones like that.
People are probably most familiar with going through My Outdoor TV to get to Outdoor America. That's where it's all streamed at, is on through Outdoor America. So it's the same place as My Outdoor TV.
They're not all available right now yet.
Well, we're working on it.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, too, we're working with a very small core group of partners that are giving us the ability to do this and make this jump. And we're really excited about it, though, because we're going to be able to do a lot of things more flexible and up to date. So with that being said, too, we want you guys to make sure you let us know what kind of videos that you'd like to see. You've been doing great on letting us know podcast topics, but do the same for videos, because we're going to be making a lot more of them now. So that's kind of exciting news for 2024, that there's going to be you're going to see a bunch of new stuff from us.
Very cool. So I think you just did it.
Hopefully that covers it.
I think so.
There's a lot.
All right.
It's going to keep changing.
Would you like to introduce the topic?
Sure.
That was an awkward silence.
Why?
Just is. Anytime.
The TLDR, how do you guys feel about fence sitters, property line sitters? Here's what I mean. Personally, my family has a good amount of private land with a nice pond with a thick pine and hardwoods that surround it. As someone who has walked every square inch of that property, I know for a fact that that several people have bought adjacent lots and had them cut over and placed a lock-on stand or tower stand right in front of the property line, right on the property line, within 50 yards of the pond that was mentioned before. It never sat right with me for somebody deliberately gets as close as possible to our habitat instead of catering to their own. How do you guys feel about this kind of hunter? Is it fair? Is it borderline poaching? Is it cheating, etc.?
All right. I think that's quite the.
So could you read the one party? So he said like they're setting up stand and cutting over, like cutting trees and stuff to be able to have shooting lanes onto their property.
I don't think that's how he worded it.
I don't think that's what he meant.
Lots.
I just think he meant that.
And had them cut over and placed, they just adjacent lots and had them cut over to, I'm assuming, the border. I don't know who they is, but I'm assuming they just did it.
The neighbors. I'm just wondering.
It sounds like they had them do something. I think the owner that bought it went over there and hunted it right next to the line.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if that cut over means
I don't think they cut. I don't think they're actually, because there's a huge difference between hunting next to a fence line and hunting the other side of the fence line that you don't have permission on.
They're not saying that. He's not saying that.
Right.
He's saying they're on their side. They're the side that they own.
Right. They're sitting on their side. Are they shooting across the fence? I think is what Warren's asking. If they're saying they cut over, meaning did they cut a shooting lane onto their side of the fence?
Yeah. What would that technically be?
Like, he didn't really clarify that very well.
Trespassing.
Adjacent lots and had them cut over and placed a lock on. See, I think that they physically cut across the property.
That would be trespassing too.
No, cut across their property, just to the edge of wherever their property borders his. This doesn't sound like they're cutting a lane.
Okay.
If they are, that's really screwed up. Then I 100% have an issue with it.
Okay,
I was going to take a gray stand on this, but I don't think that's what he's meaning by the whole topic. But either way, we can go over both.
Yeah, we can address that too. All right, who wants to start?
Go. You read the question, so you can start with an answer, I guess. Seems like that's what you don't want. I'll go first. I'm not afraid.
What?
There's just so much animosity between you two right now.
I'm very mad at you, but I also don't know how to answer this without sounding like a piece of crap. What?
So just answer it. The answer, my
I'm trying
answer's
to
simple.
clarify why I would answer one way and why the other way.
Okay, I'll go first
since
since you can't find your way out of a wet paper bag today. So, I don't have a problem with it because, and here's the reason: I have both sides of it. One, I'm him. I own a piece of property, and I've had people set stands right on the fence line. And two, I've been the guy that he's referring to that is on the other side of the property and set a stand right on a fence line. I love hunting fence lines, regardless of. Now, I'm not trying to make it where I'm not going to shoot across the fence unless I have permission to shoot across the fence, unless I'm working with that landowner. But I don't know. I've heard many people that bring up the situation they don't like when. I've heard of people getting as far as into like building a wall that you can't see across, or a real high fence or something like that, so the deer can't cross. I can just tell you, if you do that, then at some point that's going to end, and wherever that ends, that's where my stand's going to be, because you just created the perfect funnel. If you make it where they physically can't cross anywhere but X, then I'm going to be sitting where I legally can be sitting on X.
I don't believe you at
I
all.
would expect them to do the same on the other side of the fence.
It annoys you. I know for a fact it annoys you when people set up stands on a fence line. Because you're like, why? Because you don't do it either. You don't set up stands on fence lines that is a piece of property that you can't hunt.
I'm not hunting that side of the fence.
I know. I'm saying that I could not think of a stand right now that you border the property on the other side that you can't hunt.
Midget.
Besides, like at your house is a little different when we know the neighbor
you
very,
also
very
have
well.
permission to be hunting over there too. Though.
I understand that.
You could move your stand over there onto that side of the fence, and you're completely good.
I understand that, but that's not how it was when
Or
in the beginning.
you could take the south side of that. You don't have permission on that side, but we know him very well. And we know that he's not going to be pissed that we have a stand right there, considering we have a food plot on the other side. And our stand isn't facing that way. Our stand isn't intending on shooting that way.
Absolutely. That's my whole point, is that if the person is set up to hunt their own property, and they're on their own property, and you can see that they're obviously got the stand facing the direction to shoot onto their own property, and there's something on their own property that is making that point good, not just the neighbor's land, then I don't have an issue with that.
Do you trust all of them?
I don't. I have no way of knowing that.
I am just going to say screw it, because I would like to think that way, but I do not, because I would give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, fine, whatever. But more times than not, I am not trusting a single person. And the reason I would say that too, and I feel confident in saying that, is because anywhere that I have stands that I do have permission on, I don't have a single stand that would be even probably within shooting distance of a neighbor's property, because I don't feel comfortable doing that. Now, the reason that really pisses me off is because, for instance, we do have a property right now that is now, for whatever reason, surrounded, and they have put stuff up all along, literally on trees that are touching the fence line, and I don't trust it at all, because why is it all of a sudden that maybe there's some good deer on it or something, but you're going to sit there and all of a sudden now you've never hunted that area or anything, and now you're going to freaking cake the side of the fence line? So I don't trust people very well. But that's also why I won't put myself in that position. And the reason I feel like it's okay for me to be a little pissy about that is because I'm not going to sit there and go put my stands on the edge of a fence line, because I don't want them thinking that I would do that. Now, if I have a relationship with a neighbor, totally different story, because they know that I'm not going to go shooting across it, or I know they wouldn't shoot across mine.
Well, and that's the kind of things that we've always done, is if we're setting up a stand, we'll let the neighbor know. Hey, we put a stand here or whatever.
There's a lot of times that we don't get the chance to contact.
Yeah, you can always try to reach out.
Yeah. Are you going to take an opinion?
Sure. I think I kind of fall between the two of you. Because I think I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with people hunting fence lines, meaning that it's apparent that a lot of times you can see somebody, they set up, say, a ladder stand or a lock-on or something like that, and it's very clear that they're only going to be, they couldn't even shoot to the other side of the fence if they wanted to, meaning that, assuming in this case, our side of the fence, right, that they can only shoot onto their side of the fence. I think that if you look at, I understand. I get 100% what Dark Hero is saying with doing your own work to your own habitat. However, I think if we look at this from a deer's perspective, a deer doesn't understand fence lines, right? You may have a buck where his zone is only, you're just barely on his zone, right? And so if you have a deer that's coming onto your property and the best place to be able to hunt him is on that fence line and you're doing everything legal and you're only shooting to your side, are you going to say, well, I'm not going to hunt that deer because he gets so
He's
close
too close
to the fence,
property line,
but
even
he's
though
on
he's
your
on
property?
my property? Not happening. I'm hunting there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hunt that deer as well. Now, I think, and I've seen this many, many times, if somebody's setting up their stand, and it's facing across the fence so that they can clearly shoot across there, I think that they're making it apparent that they don't have respect. They're probably going to shoot across that fence line. I mean, how could you not assume that? But at the same time, you can't say that for sure. So I don't have an issue with it. I do think that there can be some things that is courtesy, right? For instance, putting up box blinds. If I go in and put in a lot of work on my property and everything, and you take just a gigantic blind and you set it right there on the fence, I would probably be a little irritated. It's like, come on, man, can you at least use a lock on or something not so invasive that it could, one, affect the deer on my property, it could move them, and then two, that it's just freaking ugly, right? Where you're only, like, I get it, you're hunting deer that are traveling from my property to your property, whatever, that's fine. But if I wouldn't go in places where I would go and put a lock on that may be really close to the line, I wouldn't go and put a giant tower blind.
Does it annoy you?
Yeah, it can annoy me sometimes. I mean, it's not. No, I mean it. This is exactly what I would tell you in the instance that you're talking about. I said that we need to do something to the center of that farm to try to hold deer there, because we're trying to kill deer as well, right? And we're also trying to get them to a certain age. And so to me, where they're going to is all of the food sources, and those neighbors are shooting a majority of deer that probably spend most of their lifetime on our property, and they go to those properties to feed. And I can't control what they're doing, and they're not doing anything wrong. Can it be a little? So I guess is what I'm trying to say is I'm not irritated with them. It's kind of like, oh man, that's frustrating because I know I'm probably losing quite a few deer. Any deer that is a good one that walks off of the property right now is getting shot on any side. So to me, but I'm never going to go tell those guys, hey, you need to move your blind or anything like that. No, they're 100% in the right. They can do whatever they want over there. But what I can also do is I can try to put a food plot or put in a food source or some standing beans or something in the center of ours that helps those deer out and helps hold them so that they aren't going across the fences often.
So and this is not me asking because it's right or wrong. I think for your instance, you don't care if you piss somebody off. Like if you're hunting legally and ethically and you believe it's right, you don't care if it's courtesy or not because you would do it. They would do it. So whether you both like it or not, you're neither of you are in the wrong, but you're okay with doing it. For instance, you said that you would set the property edge, but yet it annoys you if somebody else does it. So I'm saying that it would actually, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm dead serious. There's no underlying tone here at all. I'm saying that you would do that and you are okay with it because you know that you're not doing anything wrong. It's not a big deal. Now, if they do it, same thing. It's somewhat annoying, but you're okay with the fact that if you're looking at it from their side, it's going to piss them off. You're like, it's okay. If you look at it from your side, it pisses you off, and they probably think the same thing. It's okay. It's whatever. It's not. Nobody's doing anything wrong. Whatever.
It doesn't piss me off though.
Annoys.
It's yes, slightly annoying. Yes. But it doesn't piss me off.
Okay. Well, you know what I mean. Do you understand?
But if you're saying if I put up a stand and let's just say it's a tree that is a foot off of the fence line, and I'm going to say that, and my property is. I'm facing east, which is into all of my property.
Yes.
That if a landowner comes over to me or a neighbor or whatever and asks me to move that stand,
no,
I would tell him no. I'm not. Sorry, man. I'm on my side of the fence, and I'm not going to be shooting across the fence.
Walking over there asking them to move theirs if theirs is on the other side. So that's
no,
correct.
Absolutely not.
None of us would do that. It's their property. My point is that you're okay with that. You're okay with if it pisses them off, it pisses them off, whatever. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's your view. Where you said courtesy of other places or it's not even unwritten rules because not everybody agrees on it. I won't do it. And I know that, like you're saying that you have a deer that's on the edge of your property or something that's coming over. I thought when you said that, oh, maybe that changes it. Would I do that? And then I thought about it, and I still wouldn't because I've had that opportunity. And I stay further away, which sucks. I've never hunted the stand.
Hammer?
I didn't hang it.
I'm talking about the deer.
What about him? No. I don't care about
You
him.
wouldn't have hunted hammer?
Not like that, no. Why would I hunt? Why?
Well, he was
I had the exact
160-some
same
inch
thing
8, and he was on the property.
I had the same thing with a bigger deer. That would have been the biggest deer of my life, and I was quite certain there was one trail he was going down. But instead of me sitting on the edge where he always he has to be crossing the fence to the neighbors, I went back and just tried to use a funnel instead, which I didn't kill him. The neighbor ended up killing him, I'm pretty sure right on the fence line. So that's, my own issue. But I'm not going to do it because I think it's BS.
Okay, so if we're going to say that the fence line is not the boundary, what is?
No, that's not, because that's legally the boundary. I'm saying the unwritten rule of being courteous to the others.
That's what I'm asking is what is the courtesy rule?
Can you shoot across it?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
That's what I'm saying. Can you shoot across it?
Okay, so we're saying 40 yards.
So some guys, it's probably going to be 100 yards. Some guys, yes, 40 yards. There's a questionable that I would be able to shoot across there. I'm not putting that in the other person's brain.
I'm just going to tell you right now, and it may piss a lot of people off. I totally disagree. If I own or I have permission on 100 acres or 150 acres or 500 acres, I have permission to hunt whatever that is bound by that, and that's where I will stay. Every arrow that I launch will be on my side of the fence. But if the trees so dictate that I'm going to be sitting because the tree is the only one that's available for the right wind or whatever, and it puts me within 10 yards of the fence line, but I'm facing my property, I have every intentions of hunting my property, I will hunt that tree. And I would expect that neighbor to do the same if he wants to do that. That's okay.
You expect it, but you know dang well that there's certain, I could name off at least 5 right now that you would get pissed walking by and see that they have a stand right there. And I've seen you do it. Because you don't trust them.
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen Dad get upset over that.
I could name the day and when because he thought it was BS. Because in his defense, I don't trust him either, and they've proven that we can't trust him. But
okay, well that's a little different when you have somebody that's blatantly breaking the law or something, and then
how do you know that they're actually breaking the law? We have a pretty good idea, but we don't know.
Okay, well I will vouch for Dad in the fact that I've been with him a lot on a lot of fence lines and a lot of stands close to him, and the other 99% of the time he never had an issue with it. My question to you, though, is what you're saying then is why, if 40 yards is the number, so you're saying that if I sit 41 yards away from the fence line, that there's an unwritten rule that lets that neighbor know that don't have any intentions or plan on shooting across their fence. Is that
I think it would be pretty apparent that you're not going to be shooting across there, that you're not going to be an issue.
Okay, so the only reason that we're sitting 41 yards away then is to let them know that, to make them more comfortable.
No, because I don't feel right about it. Because there's too many people that do trespass and do shoot over fences and other things.
But if you're not doing that, why would you care? Why would that 41 yards?
Because I'm not going to go do something that I know that others do. And in this situation right here, the question of they do this specific thing where they're trying to hunt the right on the fence lines and things like that, no, I do not agree with it because I wouldn't do it, and I don't like it. And now you can't control what other people are doing. So when they go sit there, whatever, it's not a big go for it. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to be the one that walks across the fence and says, or knocks on their door and says, hey, you need to move your stand because it's too close to my fence. It is their property at the end of the day. So you're going to have your pissy fit in the basement, which I'll do on my own. But I'm not going to do it because I would not like that any more than he does with his comment. It would irk me, especially if I'm sitting there and they're sitting right along the fence line and here comes a deer and they hammer some buck or something because they're sitting right along the fence line utilizing all my work.
So So when you're walking a fence line, then if you see that a stand is 41 yards away from the fence line, then you're okay with that, with their stand being there?
I don't pay attention to it. But when they're blatantly right on top of the fence, come on, be a little more respectful than that.
Okay.
And you just said that you have a better look on it because what would you do to make sure you didn't have to sit on the fence line?
Well, that's the thing. Is what I'm saying is especially if you have the land and you have the capability, why put beneficial things close to the fence?
Yeah. So you're what you did. Why couldn't they do it too? What, instead of him putting in all this work and has all this good habitat and everything, and then they're going to come sit the edge, why couldn't they, instead of sitting the edge, try to build their self?
Okay, what if they
But
do?
I can't
Wait a minute.
control
What
them.
if they do? What if they do the equal work? Okay, whatever the neighbor did, put in a food plot, so did they, and they kept it away from the fence, where it is whatever. But for whatever reason, the deer are traveling back and forth from food plot to food plot, or they're traveling from cover to cover, and the place that the big buck seems to be going by is here. Then what makes it okay? Is that okay? Now
Let's
is
just sit together and shoot it together. I wouldn't do it either way. That's just, if you have the food plot, you're bringing them there anyways. Why do you need to go sit on the fence?
I guess I'm lost on. First of all, I would do everything in my power if I am trying to work the property to make it better for the habitat, then I'm going to try to do that away from fenced edges, so that I can keep the deer in the center of the property or on another end of the property or whatever. I'm going to take that is going to be a consideration before I ever start to put this stuff in.
That's what we're saying.
Okay, and so then when I do that, but it sounds like in this particular case that his food plot or something that he's worked on, that it's a good area, is close to the fence line. I wouldn't have put it there. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have given the neighbor the opportunity to have visual on the food plot or whatever. I mean, unless you don't, but I say that, but different properties are different. You could get there and you don't have any choice.
Do a whole bunch of what ifs.
Yeah, you don't have any choice in the matter. That's why I'm saying that I can't. I know you don't trust people, and in some respects I don't either. But it's the other part of me does, and says, okay, I'm going to sit this fence line, and I'm not shooting across the fence. All I'm asking you to do is, if you're going to put your stand on the other side of the fence, make sure you're shooting on your side of the fence. Period.
I guess if you want me to take I'll take whatever, or the stance. I'll stand on my stance here. But if you take it that way, the reason I don't do that is because I don't want. You're saying that, okay, as long as I go to the edge of the fence and they know they can trust me, it's okay if they do the same. I don't want to be in the position because, unfortunately, I don't think that there's that many people over there that could hesitate from shooting a big buck across the fence. So I'll just keep away from it. Okay, that's my stance versus saying no, it's wrong. I'm not. If I go put mine there, then it's okay for them to put theirs there. If I don't, then I avoid it. I avoid it completely. They might still do it, but I'm still going to avoid it.
Well, let's take this a step further, though. Let's just say that we're not deer hunting. We're turkey hunting. So you don't hunt you don't hunt the edge of the property. Or let's just say a turkey's gobbling on the neighbor's property. Do you not call to that bird? Because I would certainly expect that we have lost some turkeys that have been killed by neighbors who called them off of our property onto theirs and they shot them. And there's nothing that I can do about that, nor do I think I should be able to, because I don't own those turkeys. I don't own the deer. They're out there, and I don't own enough property to keep them there. So wherever they go, and so the same thing. My point is I'm going to set up and start calling, and if a bird answers on the neighbor's property, I'm not going to stop calling. I'm going to keep calling. But I got to get that.
That doesn't even relate.
Well, it does.
Because I don't think anybody that would take the stance of not sitting on a fence line would say, hey, there's a buck 300 yards away, and isn't going to try to call to it. That's absurd.
Okay, I'm just saying that
kind of negates the entire argument. Then
the property line is
you just said it though. They're wild animals, so it's not like you own it either way. But you can't affect where you hunt them.
Absolutely, I can, and that's why the border. And I'm just going to assume that almost all the properties are fenced to some, or there's a river, or there's some defined using onX to make sure that I know where the property line is, and that means that I'm shooting on my side. of whatever that is, whether that's a river, a creek, a fence,
If I had you as a
field
neighbor,
edge.
I would do the same thing because I would trust you and I know you, and I would have a relationship with you.
Well, maybe that's
But
what we should
when-
all be working harder to do is
Which is
work
what
together.
you should try to do. But when you have the situations where you try to talk to other people and you can't talk to them, no, that I don't trust that. So in that circumstance, I avoid at all costs.
Well, now I tend to now I would agree with you if I have information that tells me or that I feel like that this person is avoiding me and knows that what they're doing is wrong, and I feel like that they are shooting across the fence whenever I'm not there. Now I'm irritated that they're set up there
Oh, I'd hope
because I
so.
know what they're doing. But I got to have some indication that that's what's going on, that they're because now no longer are they just a hunter sharing the woods. They're actually trespassing and cheating as well.
Let's specify this because I think that we are on very opposite sides and very close sides at the same time. In the situation of what you have is you own 50 acres and you have no idea who the other person is. You just bought that 50 acres and maybe you've had it for a couple of years now and you've been working on it, you've been doing whatever. The bordering property, you either have never gotten in contact with them, maybe it's sold a couple times or something, but you've tried to get a hold of them and you've tried to see where they live or see if you could just at least make a relationship with them. Never had an experience with them. Never talked to them, but you tried. How are you going to feel about them coming and setting stuff right on the fence? Are you going to question it or are you not going to question it? Because in my eyes, I'm 100% going to question it because, come on, I'm trying to at least, I don't care if you do it, but let's at least talk because then you can make it better for both of you.
Well, there's
Even
still
if it comes down to the fact of you don't hunt one day or he does hunt one day in that stand, so you're not both using wrong winds, things like that. It
Right.
could be as simple as that.
well, there's still a lot of what ifs that go into that, and I'm just thinking of. I have to give them the benefit of they're not doing anything wrong until they do something wrong.
So how about what's a solution to that?
You try to talk
Make sure
to
you
them.
try to communicate with your neighbors.
What's another one?
Don't shoot across the fence.
Sorghum.
Sorghum.
Yeah.
You can see in sorghum.
If I
He's talking
plant
about Egyptian
two-
sorghum,
Yeah,
the big
that's-
tall stuff.
Yeah. Sorghum's only like 3 feet tall, 4 feet tall.
Okay, well, Egyptian wheat then. What is it? 14 feet?
Oh, yeah. She goes up there.
You can get there.
Okay. So if I now, like I would tell you, like with what Dark Hero was saying, if somebody did a tower blind right there, they put it right on my fence like that, I'm gonna put 14-foot sorghum right along the entire fence, and then I'm gonna do another row about 5-10 yards away. That's another 14. If I'm down there and I can still see into the blind from there, then I'm doing one more. Not that it really changes the deer or anything, but hey, you want to go and do like that where you're just being rude, you don't even talk about it or anything, and you put this big ugly
Right.
blind right there, then I'm going to put some freaking Egyptian wheat.
This is great.
Okay, so now do we have a
wasn't even trying
solution?
to prove a point. You just proved it.
Oh, I'm not doing
Because-
it, but changing things on my own property and making it where now
The way
we
you
don't have
just
to
said
worry
that,
about.
though, is you don't like it.
I said earlier that if somebody, I have no problem with anything else, like a lock on or something like that. But to me, when you start getting into a tower blind, it's invasive, right? Like
Do
your
the deer
neighbor,
get used to it though?
your neighbors. If you live in a residential area, right, and all of a sudden you have a Clydesdale in your yard,
That would be a benefit.
Is
not
that-
a- that would
what-
be cool?
what if your neighbor?
I would like to have a Clydesdale living next to me.
Okay, well, let's say a peacock.
There you go.
'Cause
The
don't they scream
screams,
or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a peacock all of a sudden in your yard, and you don't ever talk to any of your neighbors or anything. Do you think that that's being a little bit rude or inconsiderate?
Yeah. Oh, we're on the
Okay.
same page here.
Yeah, but I'm saying something that is belligerent, not something that's not taking from anything. And so then I'm saying if
you don't have the property though for a view, and we all know that.
I don't think
regardless
that
is what I'm
your peacock is like way. That's like sounds like one of the things I pulled out that you guys make fun of me because
I actually would like to have a peacock too because it ain't gonna wake me up, but it's gonna look pretty when I see it. So
it just because what's going on there is something that if the thing you're talking about the noise that it makes and stuff like that, it's annoying the neighbors. It's affecting you. So, and you're at home and this is where you live, you have a right to be able to if you call the authorities and say, hey, look, they're not supposed to have this here. And the box blind, I understand where you're coming from. I understand that that's annoying, but that's all that it really still is. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, you can take action on your side and do something to counteract that. But my point is that you can't stop that guy because we're talking 50 acres. What if we're talking 1? What if I'm thinking, because what came to me is there's a place in Montana that I only got to go hunt once or twice with another friend of mine. And there was a ranch that was over 25,000 acres, and there was 80 acres. 80 acres that was in a perfect rectangle that shot into the middle of this 25,000 acre ranch. And so what it did was you had maybe 150 to 200 yards to either fence.
Yeah.
Okay. And anywhere that he put his stand was going to be close to, now maybe not shootable distance, but with a rifle it would have been. And he was hunting there. He had every right to be hunting there. It was one of the greatest places that I've ever seen to hunt whitetail deer because they were traveling up and down that river bottom, and here was this rectangle that went right in there. It annoyed the crap out of the adjoining ranch that someone could do it, but they couldn't do anything about it. And my point is that he didn't own it. He had permission to hunt it, so it's not his fault that someone owns that piece of ground.
But you probably want to be careful about doing those kinds of things if you are too belligerent about stuff
Absolutely.
like that. Because who was it? It was someone I feel like it was the West that Randy, whatever his name is.
Randy Newberg?
Yes, I think maybe Randy Newberg. But if you're listening, don't hold me to that because it might have been somebody else. But anyway, somebody took a chopper into landlocked land.
Flew in.
That was the land was public. Okay, so he flew in and it was public, the ground that he flew into. But everything around it was owned by a ranch. It might even been the CA. I can't remember. But
right, I don't know.
Whoever did it, then the landowners of that property said, okay, and they went and they put in a who knows how much
12-foot, 16-foot fence kind of
high fence bordering the entire piece of public. So by him saying, hey, I'm going to go fly a chopper right over your place and kind of say, screw you, then immediately what do the ranchers go and do?
Screw you.
Screw you. And which I kind of wonder how that's legal to put up a high fence like that, because wouldn't that be impeding the...
It wasn't an enclosure. It was only one side. It was just one side that bordered the...
So it would have to be an enclosure before it makes it...
Before they're
illegal?
Capturing the animals where they can't get out.
Okay. So like that's a pretty stout FU where really all you did was screwed yourself, because now they just walled off the entire part that borders it.
I don't know why they would have public land in the middle without access. What's the point in having public land if nobody can access
That's
it?
a whole nother.
Yeah.
Let's save that for a whole nother one, because I'm 100% in agreement with what Randy Newberg did. Was he was trying to bring?
I am
he was
too.
trying to bring a point to what was going on there. That it
should have an easement.
Why in the world does the state, the land that we get to hunt, why do they own a piece of property that is 100% landlocked and I can't get to it?
Dude, you're talking to a guy that's tried to figure out how to make a harness to put a drone on myself that could also take elk quarters and stuff to fly in and fly out.
You need to call the deer drone guy. He was picking up whole deer.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I think the one thing that you have to, this all comes back to a communication thing, man. That because I know for a fact that the gentleman that I'm talking about in Montana that hunted that piece of ground, I know for a fact that he went to that land, to the ranch owners, and told them, hey, I got permission to hunt here. All I can tell you is I'm going to have a stand here, and you don't have to worry. I would never shoot across the fence, not do anything. He did everything in his power to make sure that they understood. I understand this is the only place I can go, but I just want you to know that. And so it is what it is. I mean, you can only, yes, if you own a piece of ground or you have permission to hunt on a piece of ground, you have permission to hunt on that piece of ground and that piece of ground only, unless you get permission to the other parts. And in this particular case, what we're referring to is, and it's easy to stay away from a fence crossing or a fence border the larger the land gets. The smaller the land gets, the way more difficult that becomes. And now that I think about that, I can think of a turkey that Mom killed that we had permission to hunt on less than 10 acres.
A lot of people, too, don't have a ton of places to hunt or
absolutely
big places, so you've got to work with what you got.
Right.
I think your communication comment is where my anger comes from. Because
that people
then
don't
I'm thinking
communicate.
about this because now I'm thinking about the places. I hunt a lot of places I just have permission on, and it irritates the living crap out of me when there's other people there that I've tried and tried and tried and tried to contact them, or gone to the extent of leaving notes on their trucks like, hey, my name's Easton. I'm just trying to leave my number with you so that we can coordinate. Like if you're going to be in here or something, shoot me a text or give me a call or something. And that irritates me more than anything because then you get in the situation where I'm like, okay, I've kind of played my hand here and I've tried to avoid conflict in any way, and then you end up having a ruined hunt or whatever else because they don't want to talk about things. And so my point is, I think that my anger comes because now that I'm realizing that even those are places that they have permission on too. I'm not mad that they can hunt it. I'm like, hey, why not work together?
Right.
So I think that I avoid those areas of, say, the gray areas of hunting right on a fence line because if I can't create a relationship with them, screw it. I'm avoiding at all costs because it pisses me off.
I understand. I could understand that without communication. Because I'll go back to the fact that I have no problem with sharing trail camera photos or anything else with neighboring properties if they'll work with us. Meaning share with us. Let us know what deer you killed. It's easy for people to see what we killed. It goes out typically on you've seen it on our shows. So that was one, but it goes out on social media. And so being able to share information and say, oh, that deer got killed. Okay, great. Or this deer made it. Or have you seen this deer? This deer's been wounded. We shot that one. Or meaning they did or we did. It doesn't matter who.
Yeah.
It makes us better at what we're doing. It makes us better hunters, better people, if we'll use the communication.
It makes hunting better in general, too.
Absolutely.
You're on the same page with each other, and you can do that with multiple different places. Whether you hunt 10,000 acres, you may have 10,000 acres that is all on the same page.
Yep. No, I agree to 110%. So I think that
This is a successful podcast, I think.
How so?
Because we were angry with each other, and we came to a conclusion.
I wasn't angry.
You just didn't care, and you didn't admit.
How
There's
that-
the one time that he wouldn't admit his stance or
Fence
take a hard
rider.
stance.
You're a fence
You are
rider.
a fence rider.
That's what we're going to
I
call it.
completely admitted.
No, and then
That you were
you
riding the
turned
fence.
around and then said that
Yeah.
it really pisses you or really annoys you, or I'm going to go do this, that, and the other. When in the beginning you wouldn't have done that. You would have been okay with it.
No, I'm saying all I said the entire time is that I can only control what I can control. And
then you got the
saying-
anger of, I'm going to put Egyptian grass over here so you can't see anything.
on my side of the fence, which is more of only controlling what I can control.
It's contradicting of your first statements of how you just flat out didn't care.
No, because I said I can do anything I want on my property. And I'm planting a plant on my property.
But you would do that because you're afraid that they're going to shoot something on your property, or you don't like them being able to see your property.
If I think that I can't
that
trust
means that
them,
you don't trust it.
If
And it
I-
annoys
if I-
you, and you want to stop it.
no, only if let's say I have a neighbor that I know is a problem.
You don't know they're a problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is if I know they're a problem, not questioning, I know they're a problem. Okay, I've got pictures of them on my side of the fence or something like that. Then sure, I don't need to go and complain to them, but I'll plant some Egyptian grass or weed or whatever it is, so that I think it'd be kind of funny, if you know that they're an issue, they get up in their stand and they're, what the frick? But really, I would be careful because who knows, maybe I ought to help them because now deer are going to bed in it or whatever. But with that, I have wacky facts.
Oh, you actually have some ready?
I do.
He did it in the middle of all that.
I think this will make a lot of blue-collar people happy. Wearing a tie can reduce blood flow to the brain by 7.5%.
How tight are you wearing your tie?
Well, I don't know. A study in 2018 found that wearing a necktie can reduce the blood flow to your brain by up to 7.5%, which can make you feel dizzy, nauseous, and cause headaches. They can also increase the pressure in your eyes if on too tight and are great at carrying germs.
I think they're referring to a noose over a tie.
I don't know.
Well, that's why so many guys get married. They cut their circulation off and they go, I do.
That's pretty good.
That's why you always see the photo of the wife going,
that's the
pushing it
picture.
real
Yeah,
hard.
let's put that a little tighter. Make sure we get a yes today.
They've known this for a long time.
I guess I'm telling Alyssa there's no ties in the wedding.
Just in case.
In case you're trying to mess with my brain. This is the second one. The fear of long words is called hippopotomonstrosesquipedali.
They did that on purpose.
This
100%
36-letter
on purpose.
word was first used by the Roman poet Horace in the 1st century BCE to criticize those writers with an unreasonable penchant for long words. It was American poet Amy Nazahukamanatahil, possibly afraid of their own surname, who coined the term how we know it in 2000. And then you want to hear the most disappointing one?
That one was kind of disappointing, but come
No,
on.
this one's disappointing. The largest piece of fossilized dinosaur crap discovered is over 30 centimeters long and over 2 liters in volume. Believed to be a Tyrannosaurus rex turd, the fossilized dung, also named coprolite, is helping scientists better understand what the dinosaur ate. 30 centimeters, I looked up the conversion, is only 13 inches.
Wow, my hand was about close to that.
There is no way
I don't know. That's
that was a
log.
T-Rex turd.
I would think it'd be bigger, but that is a log.
Dude,
mean,
we're
it's
talking
a-
about an animal that was
But now you said there was a
Tons, right?
volume as well, right?
2 liters.
2 liters.
So, like-
whatever that means.
2 liters? Like, think about a pop. Like,
Well, I'm trying to think
2
of like how
pop.
it measured
Right.
in crap.
that. I think you're looking at like that, and like
So we're saying
that's a turd and a half.
I don't. I guess,
that's the depth. Maybe was the
I don't
13.
know.
So the volume
inches.
would be like how many? No, you said it was 30 centimeters long, didn't you?
so
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
if
so 30 centimeters or 13 inches, whatever the conversion is. It's like that long, okay?
Okay.
And like that big around. Because that's about what a 2-liter pop is. And it's probably about 13 inches.
and so if a T-Rex turds like a deer, that's huge.
yeah, because
if
then
a
they have
T-Rex
12 of them.
But if T-Rex turds like a human, that ain't so impressive.
I think it's I think it's under impressive. I think it was a baby T-Rex or something, and it's probably just the only turd they found.
Yeah, you might be looking at like a 24-incher.
So how in the world did someone recognize that they had just found a T-Rex turd?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, so see, this is based on fossil specimens. Scientists have determined that a Tyrannosaurus rex could be up to 40 feet long and 12 feet high. So you're telling me you're 40 feet long and all you can produce is a 13-inch turd?
I'm
That's
not telling you that.
How
They're
tall are
telling
you?
you that.
Let's go
5'9".
with just a dude that's 6 foot. And let's say his average turd is 6 inches. That's 1/12?
1 inch for every foot.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like because
Okay,
in his situation,
no, just
it's like
take that and say 1 inch for every foot, and you have a 40-foot animal. He should
Yeah.
have a 40-inch turd.
This is underrated. I
That
don't
was
know if
simple
I-
math. I have to help them out all the time. So
Well, I was thinking in a fraction form, like that's a 40th of his body.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so this is world's longest stool.
and we're not talking about the kind
But
you
a
sit on.
person's is
19
over 13 inches.
In 1972, when an archaeologist excavated an area known to have been a Viking settlement, they unearthed a 7.9-inch fossilized turd. Subsequent dissection confirmed their suspicions, and the 2-inch dookie instantly became the stuff of legend.
See, that's kind of underrated, or like that's a letdown. You'd think that humans could have produced something bigger than that at some point or another.
Okay, but we're saying a human and a T-Rex
I
are
agree.
within 5 inches of each other?
No, that's
There is a massive volume difference.
like
though.
I said. If a T-Rex craps like a deer, where it's little balls, or now in this it sounds like more like a capsule type deal, then that would be quite huge. You know, it's because like if he
I
dumped
feel like that's
10 or
not
20
a
of those at
carnivore
one
thing, though. Like that would be it.
I don't know. There's a whole lot of things that T-Rexes and stuff were different. I mean, they say that our birds were dinosaurs.
I don't know. We're gonna
Anyhow,
have to do more research on dinosaur
Your
turds.
wacky facts were not all that wacky today.
We just had a
That one was
10-minute
pretty
conversation on on the size of a T-Rex poop. So I think that's pretty wacky.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Are we done here? Have you?
The only we saw the world record at the Gold's Gym in Great Falls, Montana.
Did. That just wasn't in a total.
No, Guinness
turd.
Book of World Records just didn't come.
I didn't see it.
It filled
it
the
was-
toilet. It was larger than a cow pie, and that came out of a human's butt.
Great.
It was unbelievable to the fact that I can still remember it to this day.
Me too. It's
And
just
I was
very
probably
vivid
like-
in my head.
I was probably like 10 or 11. I can't remember if you saw it first.
I
You're
walked
like,
in
you
to take
gotta
a
see
dump,
this thing.
and I freaked out. And I ran to you, and you said, "Oh my gosh!" It sealed the whole toilet.
That's gross.
Yeah, there was no. They could have quadruple flushed. There was no chance on that thing.
This is our way of testing to see if you guys are watching and listening to the podcast all the way through. Because if somebody comments on this, then we know that you are listening to 100% of this.
You just wait. We're gonna have somebody be like, "Oh, that's nothing. I've broke that."
Or worse yet, my wife has broke that. Okay, we're going to get out of here. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, hey, just remember that we have moved everything to the Raised Hunting Podcast
On YouTube.
on YouTube, so that you need to, if you want to follow on YouTube, you need to go to that one, not to the Raised Hunting just regular page or the Raised Hunting channel.
Yep.
It's a different logo now too. If you see like a jacked deer sitting on the Raised Hunting broadhead, that would be the right spot. You're in the right area.
And do us a
you'll
favor.
notice that I've been liking and commenting on the podcast where you're seeing them now as Raised Hunting Podcast. So just click on it and go to the Raised Hunting Podcast.
And as always, leave those.
Reviews.
Thank you.
Reviews. And make sure to tell your buddies and they can subscribe to the page, and we'll keep climbing this sucker, and we'll keep coming up with wacky facts that are hopefully non-turd related. All right.
okay
Thanks,
with that.
guys. This is the Raised Hunting Podcast signing off.